The Delivering Genetic Gain in Wheat project, or DGGW, funded by UK aid from the British government and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, is a partnership spanning more than 25 countries that seeks to protect the yields of wheat farmers worldwide. The DGGW achieves this through developing global wheat disease surveillance systems, improving wheat varieties with resistance to disease and tolerance to drought and heat, and through promoting quality characteristics which are preferred by farmers and consumers in a range of socio-cultural contexts. The efforts of farmers and scientists to protect the world's vital wheat crop have continued for millennia. And if you ask a plant scientist, they'll tell you we're just getting started.
Wheat is an essential crop, not just for the UK but globally, because in the UK we're a small island. We can only grow at maximum 60% of the food that we consume, so we have to import that other 40%. In 2008 there was a crisis in the wheat production and there was a spike in the price of wheat as a basic commodity. That had a knock-on effect, and it meant that the price of bread in the supermarkets in the UK started to increase. People just take food for granted. As long as they can walk into a supermarket, they can buy their loaf of bread, they can buy their box of eggs. They don't stop and think of what's involved in getting that loaf of bread into that supermarket. And I'm not just talking about putting the seed in the ground, the farmer growing the wheat, but what goes into making that seed that the farmer put in the ground.
Wheat is the #1 crop globally. Unfortunately, it is prone to diseases, just as human beings are, so much as animals are. And some of these diseases can be quite devastating. And what we have to do is to manage those in order that we maximise the production of the crop, but also the quality of the crop as well.
So you can imagine any plant disease as similar to a human disease. So plants also have immune systems and try to respond to these diseases just as a human would. These pathogens are quite cunning and they will continue to mutate, changing bases in their genome to then allow them to overcome any resistance that we put into our crops.
In the worst case, they can completely kill the crop that's growing. That results in farmers not having any yield at all, and that can lead to loss of food for the household, but it also leads to a loss of income for the family.
We're lucky in Europe that we have fungicides available, which if needed we can control or at least mitigate those losses. But in the developing world, they really don't have access to those technologies. And there we can see devastating diseases, and that leads us on to famine and all sorts of consequences for the human population.
The key way to do this is through breeding resistant varieties. And we want varieties where the resistance is durable, so that means it lasts for a long time. Resistance can be very short-lived. It can only last 2, maybe 3 years, and then we have to start all over again. But if we get very good resistant varieties, then that's the best package, and certainly for smallholder farmers.
And I think right now is a really exciting time because a lot of these new techniques that we're generating are enabling us to hasten the process of getting resistance into our crops, new resistance, and keeping ahead of this pathogen that just keeps on mutating. And I think the support from the Gates Foundation and DFID is absolutely essential for the wheat programs that we have. These international networks are important to help with the breeding programs, but also to try to track the pathogen races and look at the strains of the pathogen that are moving around the globe and looking at forecasting for future entry into the UK to protect our own country, but also to work with others to try to help them better predict how pathogens might move into their countries too. Wheat is one of the most important crops that we grow. It really does contribute to so many products that you have in your kitchens. If we were to stop the funding that's going into wheat, then that would prevent the development of new wheat varieties. It would prevent these international surveillance programs that are so important to maintaining our crops.
Without continued support to wheat research efforts, I think we would be in a situation where certainly these changing pathogens, the changing diseases, they would be causing us very serious problems globally. But just to maintain the yield, the production that we currently have, certainly in the face of climate change, the advancing diseases, then just to maintain the level that we have, let alone increase the production that we're going to need to feed the increasing populations around the world, then it needs this regular research and development.
If we stop the research, if we stop the breeding, if we stop the collaborations and the support, the pathogen wins.
Agriculture is the driver of economic growth. You invest in agriculture and you see the biggest returns in terms of poverty reduction. Essentially, it's global food security that we're looking at.
As we look forward to a food-secure future for the world, we need a sustained commitment to enhancing and protecting the productivity of farmers in all corners of the globe. Problems like wheat rust and other crop diseases do not respect international borders. And with climate change, a rising population, and globalised travel and trade, local agricultural problems can quickly escalate into global crises.
Wheat diseases are a threat to the UK. UK farmers, even though they operate, or most of them in highly mechanised situations, they spend a considerable amount of time and money in the control of diseases. We can see new things that are now an emerging threat to the UK. So one disease which we call stem rust, it used to be in the UK 60, 70 years ago. And now we're seeing the re-emergence of this disease. It is coming back. This is a very, very serious threat to their crop production.
If a man has food in his stomach, if his children have food in their stomach, they have time to learn how to read, they have time to go to school. If they do get sick, they're in a better position to recover from the sickness because they're healthy, they've been fed, they've got good nutritional food. So they grow to be healthy and they grow to be strong. You educate people, you've got a workforce that can be a benefit to the country, can improve the economics of the country. The principal thing that we must do as a species on this planet is to ensure that people are fed.